Hello and welcome. My name is Lisa, and this is my Flosstube channel, a channel all about my needlework, whether that's by hand or by my machine. This is Christmas in July Part 2, the landscape edition. I turned my camera. I know. If you watched episode 1, and thank you if you watched my first episode, you saw that I filmed it in the vertical. I didn't know to turn my phone. I also had some setting where it was overexposed. I was blown out, and I'm a naturally pale person. My hair looks like a dandelion that's gone to seed. So between the physical attributes and the technology situation, I disappeared. It was 2 eyes talking to you about cross stitch. Thank you for hanging in there through the whole episode. I really do appreciate it. And the comments, you guys were great. So warm and welcoming. And you took the time to leave a comment, or you took the time to reach out to me on Instagram. I really, really appreciated it. It was a wonderful welcome, especially with such a visually tragic attempt at a Flosstube. So thank you if you're coming back. If you're new, don't hesitate to pop over and see episode 1. Just low expectations on the visual, but there is some good information, I think. When I ended that episode, I could have kept going, but I didn't know if YouTube would allow me to have such a long video the first time out. And so I cut off the information that I could give you. I'm going to pick up with that here. I'll talk a little bit about some of the things I actually did in the month of July for Christmas in July, and then we'll pop over into the projects, the kitted things that I have, and my process on how I organize all of that. So that's what's happening today. The biggest challenge today, and it's a warning, I need to look at this green dot, which is the lens, instead of where I want to look here so I can see I'm in camera and you're getting the visual. I need to look here. So I apologize as I work through that piece of filming. It's all a learning curve. I figure by episode 199, I could basically be on, I don't know, a newscast or something. I'm kidding. Okay. First up, I do have a fully finished item. I had shown you the last episode that I had already stitched Blue Coat Santa, but I was hesitant about fully finishing him. I knew what I wanted to do with him, but I was concerned about cutting off his feet. I have made the project. I'm pleased. I'm very pleased. And here's Blue Coat Santa. I made him into a basket. It's a reversible basket. I'm not going to turn it inside out, but I could if I wanted to. It's fully lined on the inside. I want to talk to you about the process of making him. Just very quickly, if you think that you would like to give this a try with any of your projects, not just Santa, not just Blue Coat Santa, but any of your projects, you could even send that off to a finisher and say, I want it into a reversible basket, and your finishers will probably already know what to do with that. If you're looking at him now and you think, boy, there's a lot of space underneath his feet. She was worried about cutting off his feet, but she may have overdone it. I left a lot of space down here because I figured when he was sitting on a table or seated at a table, I would have greenery down here. Maybe there would be some baubles or garland or something. And I didn't want to cut him off physically and cut him off visually with those baubles and things. So I left a lot of space. I left 3 inches from his foot down, and then I did a 1.5 inch corner for boxing the corners if you're interested in doing it yourself. That's what I did, and it's leaving me plenty of room to lay some greenery down when he is out for display. Let me do this too. I did what Nicole Spohr did. This was her stitch along last year. I added the buttons like she added. I put in some jingle bells here like she did. Listen, if Nicole Spohr does it, you should too. She's the queen. So I took those ideas and am tickled that I did. One of the suggestions that a commenter left, and it was a brilliant suggestion, and I thank her for that, is she had suggested I do a mock-up and plan and practice before I hacked into poor Santa, which I did. I measured out how much visual space Santa took up, cut a piece of paper, and then laid it down and played around on a piece of fabric. Where did I want him? How much room did I want to leave? and then mocked this up. And that's where I figured out that I wanted the 1.5 inch corner. When I mocked them up here, I knew, oh wait, that's going to be too low. I need to leave more space. So it was a great suggestion. And thank you to the commenter who left it. I so appreciate the suggestion. It was terrific. I have another suggestion for anybody who's thinking about taking up sewing for your own finishing or whatever. I think I told you this already. I bought a new sewing machine in August of last year. I took a beginning sewing class at the local quilt store, and I was gathering a lot of information between that class and watching YouTube videos, and I needed a place to store it. So I made a notebook. This is just for sewing. As I'm watching YouTube videos, I am writing down dimensions that people are giving or suggestions that they have. I really think this is a great idea. If you're a beginner sewist, for certain, write it down. I call them, these are my recipes. I'm planning out what I'm doing. I do it all in pencil. And then as I actually build it and construct it, if there are things I'd like to tweak or change, I can erase, add it. But then I've got the reference. I can always go back and make changes as necessary. If I saw a video, I try to put credit down here for the person who showed me that so I can go back and reference the channel again or the recipe that they used or whatever. But if you're thinking about taking up sewing, I would really suggest that. If you're not thinking about taking up sewing, get yourself a finisher and don't even think about it again. Have fun with that. Okay, that was my fully finished object, my big finish for Christmas in July. If you saw it on Instagram, then you already know it's Dasher and Dancer. Let me pull it up. Here they are. I am so pleased with how this turned out. This is on 40 count rice powder by Dames of the Needle. I used Belsois silks in the color cranberry. I used cranberry in Blackbird Designs Christmas Garden and wanted them to coordinate. When I take this to the framer, I'll get a coordinating frame, not a matchy-matchy frame, but something to coordinate. But here is my project. I'm so pleased. Let me talk to you very quickly about the scroll rods that I use. This is the Omanic rod, and they don't make them anymore. Unfortunately, they've changed up what they're creating, and scroll rods and systems are not it. I don't usually have this vertical bar here for a project like this. I have much shorter vertical rods. So when I'm stitching, I'm actually just in one section. I'm rolling up as I go. I used these big vertical rods today just so you could see the whole piece. But that's not typically how I use the rods. I bought these giant vertical rods so that for some of the pieces that need beading, I could show the whole size of it, bead it as I go, and I wouldn't have to roll the beads up. So that's why I have the big vertical. I use the Almanac scroll rod stand downstairs. That's what holds all of this. But again, they don't make it anymore. I have other scroll rods that I like and use, and maybe in a future episode, I can bring those up and show you what it is I use and how you can use them if you're thinking you want to use scroll rods instead of a hoop or instead of stitching in hand. Okay, again, last episode, I was telling you about my new box that I got, my Winterberry box, and I wanted to make some needle books to put inside. I chose Stacy Nash's Snowball Fight. And initially, when I had kitted this up, I had a red fabric that I wanted to use. I initially kitted it up with 40 count Red Rose by Number 12 Stitch Company. After I bought the needle book, after I bought the sewing box, I knew I wanted to change up my fabric to coordinate for that book. So I did. And I landed on 46 count Autumn Beach by Number 12 Stitch Company. I also changed up the flosses that I chose. I had some ideas of what I wanted to use, but I did change it up. And let me tell you about those changes. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about Gloriana and the silk options that they have. Okay, so I ultimately went with, let me grab them. Here we go. Initially, when I showed you this in the last episode, I pulled some 103s, but I changed my mind and I went with Gloriana Luminescence instead. Here's what they look like when you buy it shorter. I have them long right now. I went with Cinnabar as the red for the mitten. I thought I wanted a little bit of movement. And since it's an overdyed, there's going to be a variety of shades in there. You can see it in one of the mittens better than in the other mitten. I also used, let me pull that up again. I also used Luminescence in Winter White, I believe, for anything that looks like a snowball, or I'm sorry, anything that looks like a snowflake. And I don't think you're going to catch it, but the snowballs, I use Surfine and Accentuate to make them sparkle, which that's not going to show up on video. I also went with Surfine for the border. And let me tell you why. I initially pulled a 103. You can use 103s on 46 count. You can use Surfine, Luminescence, Tudor. You can use all kinds of thicknesses on 46. It's really just about the coverage that you want. I went with Surfine, and let me show you if you're not familiar. I went with Surfine. This is 2629. I went with Surfine for the border as opposed to the 103 or a Luminescence. If it's too dark, your eye's going to go to the darkest object. And if I had built that frame with 103s, it would have been really, really dense and your eye would have gone to the frame. And I wanted your eyes to go to the mittens, not the frame. So I went with the thinner Soie Surfine, and then I think your eye still goes to the mittens. I have one more piece to add to the project, and that's the connecting. Let me show you the picture again. There's a connecting string to the mittens, and I'm going to do that in the standard Gloriana 12 strand. I happen to have a hank of Cinnabar, so I'm going to cut some of this off and make the string, couch it down. We kind of know that concept. I want to talk to you, though, about the difference between the Gloriana products. I am in no way a Gloriana expert, but I just wanted to share because I do think it's an option that some people might be overlooking and going straight with the 103s or the Surfine, but there are some really great products in the Gloriana line. Okay, so as I said, for my project, I went with the Luminescence. Let me show you what that label looks like. There's the label. Here's how it comes when you buy them, so you know what you're looking for. The Luminescence line is 103 that's been overdyed. So if you're familiar with 103s, they come on a spool, like Surfine, they come on a spool. This is 103 that's been overdyed. Some of it's variegated, some of it's not. All the colors are luscious. This is a great option if you're looking for some movement in your chart, or if you just love the saturated color. When something's overdyed, the color is just intense and saturated and gorgeous. Love, love, love. If you're familiar with Gloriana, the 12-stranded version, this is how it comes. It's 6 yards, but it's 12-stranded, so you get so much in there. That's what you might be most familiar with. And then another Gloriana product that might be overlooked. If you're on 56 count, you're probably familiar with it, but you can absolutely use it on 46 count as well. And that's the Tudor line. This is the Tudor silk that would be comparable to Soie Surfine. 103, or if you see it as 100.3 or 100/3, that's the weight of the silk. Surfine has a different weight. Tudors have a different weight. This is 120.2 or 120 M2, however you want to say it. So it's a thinner silk. This has 12 strands and it's 5 yards. Surfine comes with 100 meters. So if you wanted to see, well, how much Tudor do I need compared to the Surfine? 100 meters, 5 yards. However, it's 12 stranded. So you're getting 70 yards. If you wanted to do a comparison, maybe 2 Tudors to 1 Surfine. It's a great option. I actually prefer Tudor silks over Surfine. And it's just a preference. When I stitch with Surfine, and I really had no problem stitching with Surfine here on the border. But sometimes when I'm stitching with it, it's so light. It feels like I'm stitching with a spider's web. It just, if the fan's on, if the cat walks by and there's a little bit of, movement in the air, for me, that floss just kind of moves around and takes on a life of its own. I guess I could go with a shorter strand, but I usually do the wingspan. With the Tudors, because there's a dye in there, there's just a little bit more body. It just, for my stitching experience, it just feels like there's a little bit more to work with, and I don't get that wispy feel as I'm stitching. So I love the Tudor silks. They come in all, not every Gloriana color comes in every single type of silk that they produce, but those common names that Cinnabar, Olivine, Antique Black, you can find these things in the Tudor line or in the Luminescence line. Give them a try if you haven't yet. I think they're great additions to your collection if you're stitching and you just want to try something new or different. Give them a try. And obviously, the OG of Gloriana, the 12-stranded, that's Candy Apple Red if you're looking for a delicious red to add to your arsenal. So that's what I did with Snowball Fight. I just have a little bit left, that connecting band, and then that will be made into a needle book and into my stitching box it goes. I wanted to show you the 2 colors or the fabric for Snowball Fight and compare it to another fabric by Number 12 Stitch Company, one of my favorite dyers. I pulled this up to show you the 2 colors. Snowball Fight is here. This is on Autumn Beach, and it's spelled B-E-E-C-H. It's a tree, not the beach where you go and have a good time. This is Autumn Beach, and you can see how much darker it is than this color. This is Regency Gold. I'm stitching Rebecca Worrell. That's what that is. If you're not familiar with Rebecca, this is by the Wishing Thorn. Rebecca Worrell is on, I wanted her on a darker fabric because her colors are just gorgeous. Oh, so good. But I think these 2 from Number 12 Stitch Company are really my favorites. I love them. Autumn Beach, Regency Gold. Since I knew I was going to show these today on Flosstube, I did go on her Etsy shop and I placed an order for more because I thought, well, if people like it, they're going to order it, then I won't be able to get my hands on it. So I ordered some more before you guys got there. Don't hate the player, hate the game. I ordered more because it's just so good. Whether you're doing a big sampler or you're doing a small, Autumn Beach, Regency Gold, wanted to share, thought you might like that. Okay, the last thing that I showed in the last episode, and I wanted to give you the update on that, is the Quilted Gingers by Hands On Design. And I talked to you about stitching it in 40 count and in 32 count. I misspoke when I told you I had ordered a 32 count for this project. This is actually Weeks Mocha. I kept calling it Cocoa, and it's Weeks Mocha. So Amy at Big Bad Wolf's House of Stitches, I apologize for the confusion. I changed it in the comments or in the drop-down box. Hopefully people have not been upset that I said the wrong name and you got it all squared out. But these are the 2 projects. This one, instead of doing the specialty stitch here in the middle of the brown, I'm going to add beads. This one, I still need to work on some of the specialty stitches. I've decided not to fully finish these until all 3 are done. I need to see the end and what they're all going to look like before I decide to do individual ornaments, to group them together. I'm going to wait. I'm going to stitch them as they come, I'm going to stitch them both on 40, or each one on 40 and 32. This is Gingerbread by Picture This Plus. This is 32 count Weeks Dye Works Mocha. Still going to stitch them, but I'm going to hold off on the fully finishing them until I really know what's going on with the end result. We did just get a sneak peek for the second chart. It looks adorable. Cannot wait. Okay, now let's talk about what I had to do for the part 2, where I had to end the video. And, oh, let me tell you about Season's Greetings too. I talked to you about Kitten Stitcher, Shakespeare's Peddler, Teresa Vinette. I talked to you about Season's Greetings and my dilemma of changing the words to say Merry Christmas. You guys were fantastic in the comment sections with ideas. Someone said, leave the Merry Christmas as it's charted from Primitive Merry Christmas and just add more motifs around it. Brilliant idea. Katie Strachan, God love her, she got in the comments and she laid it out. Here's how she will rechart something. Here's how you could move the letters. Here's how you could expand the height of them. She was so generous with her time. If you're looking to change up some lettering on a chart, I would really encourage you to go back to my first episode, go down into the comments and find Katie's comment about how to expand those letters, how to space them. She was very, very generous with her time, taking her time to share that. And Katie, I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you for doing that. I did not have time to explore expanding the existing letters that I have. I was working on Dasher Dancer like a mad woman, but I'm going to. I also didn't get in any stitches on Julia Rachel de la Mayer that I showed in the last episode. I was just really focusing on Dasher Dancer. All right, so now let's get to some new stuff. That was a whole lot of what's already happened, but let's talk about the new stuff and the stuff I couldn't get to before. I have all kinds of kitted Christmas and winter projects here that I want to share with you, but I also want to talk with you about my process and a little bit of my organization. If you know me in real life and you've seen some of it, people ask lots of questions about how I do it and why I do it. And I want to touch on it a little bit if I can. The first thing is a notebook. I keep a notebook with all of the charts I've purchased. And I have a system for that, and I can share that system another time. But every chart I buy, I copy and paste the image from the internet, put it in a Word document. I do a bunch at a time. Do we ever just buy one chart? No. So I'll make the pages all at one time. I got this idea from Nicole Spohr. She was creating a page for a stitch along. I've taken it and done a little bit now to make it my own, and now it is my go-to system. Like I said, every chart I own, I make a page. This has all kinds of information. I'll go through it another time of what's on the page and why I do it. If the chart is not in a project bag, then it's in my binders, and I think I figured out technology, so I'll hopefully include a picture of my binder system. If my charts are not in a project bag, most of them are in a binder. Why am I so organized like this? In the 80s and 90s when I was stitching, we went to Frank's Nursery and Crafts and we bought a kit. And you came home and you stitched the kit. And when you were finished with the kit, you went back to Frank's Nursery and Crafts and you bought another kit. We didn't stockpile. We didn't have a stash. We didn't have haul. You bought a kit, you stitched the kit, and then you moved on to another kit. When I came back in 2023, that is not how we're doing it because there are so many more offerings. We are buying a la carte now. You can buy charts. We can think ahead to fabric. Maybe we buy a fabric just because it's pretty and we like it. Maybe we buy it because somebody recommended it and we wanted it in our stash. So I needed a way to organize it. It was becoming overwhelming while I was like, oh, this is what we do now? Oh, this is what we do now? It was becoming overwhelming. So I created systems that work for me. If you're a buy one chart, buy its floss and fabric, stitch it, move on to the next, then none of the organization that I have to offer will be of any interest to you whatsoever. This is just for people who are buying, and we're consumers. We're buying and then we are waiting for that right moment or that right material to come in for us to start it. So I'll talk more about that, how I organize everything. Maybe that could be its own little floss tube just on that. So why are these projects in project bags and not in the binders? There's a pretty good chance that what's in the bag has some kind of a material that I've been sourcing, and I want to keep it separate from general population. I want that product to be in the bag, so when I'm ready to stitch the project, that one item or several items that I've been looking for is here. It's not going to be used up for something else and then it's a specialty item, or I've been working hard to source it and finally found it. I want to keep it with the bag or with the project. So it's in a project bag. The binders are really just when I buy a chart, you know, it goes in a sleeve, and in the binder it goes, and it's there for me to just grab. I'm kind of all over the place on this. I'm sorry for the flow on this one. I am not a process stitcher either. For me, the process in cross stitch is the organization of the project itself. As I've purchased the chart, made the paper, I'm already thinking about what I want to do with the project in the end. Do I want to frame it? Do I want to make it an ornament? Is it a gift for somebody? Is it a small that I want to have out on display? I'm already thinking about what I want to do with it in the end. If I can't think about how it's going to work in my displays, in my life, I'm not buying the chart. It needs to move me in some way, and I'm already thinking about it. There is the process. When I am watercoloring or art journaling or doing mixed media, I am all about that process. I am playing with my materials. I'm hacking into my watercolor paper. I buy big sheets and I cut it down. I'm just hacking into my supplies, mixing paints. I love watercolor techniques, and I'm just playing. That's the process, and I enjoy the process. The product that I make at the end is not going to be seen by anybody but me. It was just a fun time, and it was the process that I was enjoying. For cross stitch, I do enjoy the process of stitching, but I am goal oriented. I want that thing at the end. So for me, I enjoy the process of the planning, and then I'm goal oriented for the finish. Hopefully that kind of explains where I'm headed with these kitted projects. Another reason why a project could be in a bag is I'm ready to stitch it. I want it ready to go. As soon as the mood strikes, I'm going to start stitching it. And I just want the project ready. So that being said, let's dive into what's over here and why. Let me grab all their little papers. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, first up are 3 projects that when I saw one of them, and I really can't remember which one I saw first. It might have been that I saw Fractor Dove first. And when I saw it, I knew that there were other projects that would coordinate with it because of the color of the linen. The other one in this set that I'm thinking about is Brenda Gervais' Christmas Bird. See the dark linen? And then the third one is Americana White by October House. Again, it's that dark linen. And I thought at Christmas, these would all coordinate together. This one's big. It will be framed. The others can be little pillows around it. But I wanted them to all coordinate. So I chose fabrics for them with the idea that they are going to coordinate. Let me pull up Americana White. I have pulled out, this is 40 count button box dark by Mason Linen. I put the whole piece in here. I'll need to cut it down even more. That's Americana White. Nice and dark and delicious. For Brenda Gervais, A Christmas Bird, The Christmas Bird, I should say. That one's on 40 count Honey Amber by Seraphim. It coordinates with the other linen. And then the last one Fractor Dove. Let me pull that up. This is also on 40 count Honey Amber. I thought it's all going to work together. So in my head, they're going to play nicely. They're going to be displayed together. I'm doing all the called for the Brenda Gervais. I'll do one of the Gloriana Whites, probably Winter White, for the monochromatic 2 pieces. But that's why these 3 are kitted together. They're going to coordinate together. That's my thought process on those 3. I don't know if I'm making any sense. We're still going to go with it. Okay, the next thing that I have kitted up, and I have it kitted up because of that 32 count mocha that I purchased. This is Hands On Designs Belle of the Ball. I have 40 count dark linen that I could have absolutely pulled. When I ordered the 32 count mocha from Big Bad Wolf's House of Stitches, I asked if she had any other 32 counts. I really don't have a 32 count stash. So she sent along this fabric. This is Slate by Fabrics by Stephanie. I want it on 32 count. I think it will be a nice size. That's looking a little purple, but I think it would be a nice size. I did cut it also in a 40 count that I had. This is 40 count typewriter by Color and Cotton. I thought I'd do it in both sizes. One could be a keep for me. One could be a gift for someone else. I'm enjoying the 32 count just for fun, just to, you know, change it up a bit, especially at Christmas. I like that solid condensed color that 2/2 on 32 count can give you. So that, I don't know. We'll see if I don't see myself sticking into 32 for everything. I love 40 count and 46, but we shall see where that goes. Okay. I have 2, kitted projects in here by Mirabilia Nora Corbett. They are in project bags because I bought them as kits. So I had all of the supplies necessary. One of them is Holly. And the other one is Christmas Elf. And I know these aren't for everybody, but I think they're just so sweet. They're just so sweet. This one reminds me, I had a dress in the 70s. I used to call it my butterfly dress. And the sleeves, you lift it up like this. I don't know, 100 pleats in here on both sides. It was purple. I loved it. And her skirt just reminds me of those sleeves. And I just thought she was so sweet. I have sons. I don't have daughters. But I just thought she was sweet. I have them both kitted up. Christmas Elf came with fabric. It came with 32 count natural. But the Holly, I have some sparkle fabric in here that I was considering. This is opalescent white. You won't be able to see the little sparkles in here. But I saw somebody stitch it up on pink, and I thought, oh, no, that's cute. We'll see. But those 2 are kitted because all the supplies came with the kit I purchased. So I wanted to keep them together so they wouldn't be used for something else. Okay. These 2 I purchased, and I am ashamed that they are not finished yet. Katie Strachan does wonderful felt kits. This one is her Crystal Dove. I jumped on it as soon as it was available, and here it sits. Look, 2024. I still haven't assembled that. The shame is real. I also have Theodora. They're getting finished this year. This is happening, Katie. I'm sorry if I am shaming you. They are happening this year. They're in the box of things, or in the pile of things that absolutely must get done this year. They're fantastic. We've all seen Katie's Crystal Dove on her Instagram. It's sparkly. It's just regal. They need to get finished. All right. Next up. Okay. Elegant Bird Trio. But not all of them. Puntini. Elegant Bird Trio. I only want to do the swan, and I want to make that into a Christmas ornament. So cute. I put it in here as a must want to stitch, but I also did a silk conversion for it. And I'm pretty sure I dropped the count. I did. I dropped the count. So this is on 46 count graham cracker by Coloring Cotton. And I've got a 103 conversion that I did. I'm only stitching the swan. I think I told you before. There's something about swans in stitching that they're just so elegant and beautiful, and I can't stitch them enough. So since I already did the conversion, in the box or in a project bag they go. This next one I'm really excited about. This is something new and different for me. When my friends and I went to Hobby House in March or April of this year, we did our own retreat. I think I told you that in the last episode. We were looking at the banding. They had, Hobby House had all kinds of banding for cross stitch in all different widths. Some of it was thinner, some of it was 3 inches wide, some of them had decorative elements already on the side, but I was intrigued by this banding. I've never done banding before. And we were discussing how to use it, what to use it. You know, you can put it on a spool for decorative purposes. But I was thinking about sending it horizontally and putting in words, Noel, Merry Christmas, etc. And then draping it in the Christmas tree, waving, you know, like a beautiful ribbon is what I was thinking of doing. So I have been sourcing materials that would go well on that count. That's a high count. And having not stitched with it before, I've been sourcing all kinds of materials to play on it. Because I really don't know what will work best. I have some silk gimp. It's thicker. It might not work. It might not look right at all. But I thought I'd give it a try. I also have Trebizond. This is Access Commodities. Well, this could be a Veriswa now that I say that. It's pretty shiny. That might be a Veriswa. I'm not sure. I also grabbed and have been popping in the box. There's another Trebizond in red and green. Here's more gimp. I had it from something else, but I put it in there. There's more gimp. I also have this. So I picked up some Soie Perlée that I thought would work well. It's thick enough that it would fill in nicely. So I was grabbing some Soie Perlée to try out. If you're not familiar with Perlée, if you know Soie Gobelins, it's 2-stranded, and that's what gives it its thickness. The Perlée is 3-stranded. You can take them apart, but you're not supposed to. You just stitch with them. I thought they were thick enough and wide enough to go in, to go into that banding. I picked up some greens just to play. And then I've been hearing a lot about, and I'm probably last one to the party on this one, DMC's Floche. It's a thicker cotton. I don't know how I did this. I wound up ordering 3 of the same color. Brilliant, Lisa. But I picked up some Floche. I thought I'd play with that as well on the banding. Just to see, first it's just to see what material I like in the count, and then I'll stitch. So it'll be a play, a process, if you will. It's a play just to see what will work, what materials I like best. So in a project bag they go. I don't want to use it up for another project when I don't know yet what I'm using. Project bag. You know what? Let me take a hot second to tell you about project bags. A couple of months ago, brace yourselves, I had a cup of coffee that went flying, and it went against the wall, hit my rolling cart downstairs where I keep projects that I'm working on, and the coffee, it went everywhere. On the project bags, in the project bags, it went everywhere. And I was, oh, what has happened? My husband was like, I'm on it. Here we go. Let's get it cleaned up. Interestingly enough, my project bags that I made with a vinyl front cover, or the project bags I made that were quilted, cleaned up beautifully. I had no problems getting the coffee out of them. And they protected what was inside. The silks, the cottons, the charts, the fabric, nothing got wet on the inside. But what didn't fare so well, believe it or not, were the Amazon bags. The coffee, I mean, I nailed it. It was, a tsunami of coffee hit my projects. The coffee got in the zippers and I could not rinse it out. And it didn't matter to me how it looked, but I could smell the coffee. I could not rinse it out. And it also got down in this seam and I couldn't get it out. It's the craziest thing. You'd think with everything that we have, it would be the plastic that would protect it, but it locked in. So number one, don't spill your coffee. Pro tip. And number two, just know that even though it's in this plastic bag, it's not waterproof, and you might want to think about other options. Okay, what else do I have in here? I have in here, when I joined the Hands-On Design Patreon, we had access in the secret shop to buy the previous ornaments, and I did. Some of them were so cute, and the two that really got me going with these two. I thought they were, I love this shape. I want to stitch this just so I can play with the shape for other ornaments. I just thought they were terrific. So in a project bag they went, and I did have in my stash some 32 from back in the day. So I pulled that, I pulled the cottons. I'm going to stitch as called for, but they're ready to go. I feel like these kinds of projects are terrific. If you just want to grab something, you're running out the door, you need a project. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to take the time to kit it up. It's ready to go. So Christmas, ready to go. This next one, I'm really excited about, and I hope to get all of them stitched this year. These are multiple charts. I got it off of Etsy, PDF. Needle Treasures Nook is the name of the designer. And there are so many of these charts. They all look monochromatic. When you go in there, on some of them, there might be a brown because of the tree trunk. This is what they all look like. This one, I'm going to keep it in red. But let me show you what I put and why they're in a project bag. One, I definitely want to stitch them this year, but why they're already in a bag. I picked 46 count Dolly Madison by Needle and Flax, 46 count, because I picked up at Hobby House, but you can get this from your L&S. I picked up the painter's threads. And I thought all these charts with this highly variegated, it's a 103 silk that's been over dyed. I think it would look fantastic, but I wanted it on 46 count. I'll do 103 on 40 count. It's not my favorite, but I will do it. But on 46 count, 56 count, yum, 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 yum. I did pull some 103s to go with it because even though they look monochromatic, there's a little bit of brown in there. There's a pine cone on one of them, a trunk. And then I thought I'd keep the Merry Christmas in red. And then in a bowl, that Merry Christmas would be in front, and then all the trees would be around it, the tree stitches. That's the plan. Wanted to keep it all together in a project bag I made. Woohoo! Wanted to keep it all together and want to stitch it as soon as I am ready for Christmas stitching. I want to be able to grab it. So that is Needle Treasures Nook. I got mine off of Etsy. All of them. Okay. What else is over here? All right. This is an Atilda bag I made. And they're hard. It's hard to know what's inside these bags. You can't see what's inside. If it's in an Amazon bag and you put your chart in the front, you know what's here. I picked this because it's got this nutcracker. I have a nutcracker collection. I've had it for years. Little wooden soldiers of all different heights. I have some that are pretty tall that stand up on the floor, and then the others are all on the table. And you might see behind me this handsome fella. I turned 60 in February, and my husband and I took a big trip. We went to Switzerland, Germany, France, and the Netherlands. And in one of those cities, in Germany, there was a shop that had all of these gorgeous nutcrackers. And because I have a collection, I just found this guy so handsome. He's just so handsome. So He's new to the collection, but I don't have any stitched nutcrackers. And if you're familiar with Shannon Christine, you know she's a nutcracker phenom. I'm not going to stitch this as one big piece. I thought I would stitch individual nutcrackers that I like the most and then either make them in stand-ups. I don't think I'm going to do that though. I do think I'm going to make them into ornaments and hang them from a little tree next to all the nutcrackers. So I wanted to keep going with always having a nutcracker going. Her chart, this chart, had some beads that are called for. I bought them. If I move up in size, the beads won't fit, but then I can get like a Miyoki 15-0. That would fit. These are probably 11-0. It's a Mill Hill. I'm guessing they're 11-0s. But I wanted to keep them in here. I also picked up some treasure braid. There's a called for Krynic, but Rainbow Gallery's Petite Treasure Braid's a great option to swap them out if you don't like to stitch with Krynic. So I wanted to keep them all together in a bag so that they're not in general population. They won't be used up for something else. They're ready to go. Okay, what else do I already have kitted up? Now again, am I going to get all of this done this year? No. I just need to keep those items together so they don't get lost. All right. I tried out a project folder, portfolio, just to see if I liked the system. This is a beautifully made portfolio. I don't remember the name of the sewist who made this. It's beautifully put together. I've just decided that I don't care for portfolios. They're not for me. And I know people love them. Here's what they look like on the inside. They're wonderful. There's a thread bed ready to go. You know, I love a thread bed, but it's just not it's not the system for me. So this is my only one. I'm glad I did it. Here's a little zipper pull. When I came back, I thought we were making zipper pulls for every project we were stitching. Okay, judge me later. So I was making zipper pulls for every project, and one of the projects I had was a deer project. So that's that little zipper pull. Why a project bag devoted to deer? A few years ago, my mother-in-law, let's move this sexy guy out of the way. A few years ago, my mother-in-law gave me this deer planter for Christmas, and I loved it. And I decided I would fill his belly with deer stitches. There's all kinds of deer stitches. In fact, if you didn't want to do that full Dasher Dancer, this is another Hobby House chart. This is Prancer. These are not the called for colors. I played around with it. But if you don't want to do the giant sampler, you could just do Prancer. He's super cute. Super, super cute. What else is in here? Oh, so good. He's so good. There's a bunch in here. I could do a little, there might be something on Instagram with all the deers, but I have a whole deer chart binder of the little deer smalls that I could stitch up and put in his little belly. In fact, there was a stitch along with Hands On Design where she did the Huga holiday, and it was limited. You had like 2 months to buy the chart, and that was that. And she had a variety of colorways that you could do. I did my own color conversion for it. Let's see if I can grab it. I did my own color conversion. There's accentuated in there, goblins, all the things. And it's on display when it's downstairs at Christmas. I framed it myself. Again, we look and we don't judge. Oh, this is a good time to tell you why I always put a 3-inch margin on everything I cut. It does not matter what my project is. It's getting a 3-inch margin. I cut this down with, at the time, I was doing a 2-inch margin for everything. When I went to frame it, I had no room to go. It would fit in a standard 8x11 frame because I initially thought I would have a custom frame, so it didn't matter. And I'm like, no, I can do this 8x11. I did not have enough fabric. I pulled and pulled. I was down to just some threads to get it in there. So now I learned my lesson. Everything gets a 3-inch margin. I don't want to mess around. All right, so what's in here? I pulled up a chart. This one is Reindeer Dance, stitched on blue. but I'm going to do it in the red. Again, that's the rose red from number 12 Stitch Company. It's a beautiful red. It doesn't lean orange. It's a bluer red. I think it's terrific. In it goes. So again, project folder, not my favorite. Beautifully crafted, just not my favorite. Okay. What else? Okay. One of the things that I have, and if I can, I'll put a picture up of the lyrics bowl that I started to make. I had been stitching up the Heartstring Sampleries lyrics series. And I thought, oh, I want to do more. I want to collect charts with lyrics. And then we're a musical family. It just kind of made sense. I made a project bag that has musical notes in the different colors. I did make a zipper pull. Anyway, I wanted to try and have one lyrics finish a year, and then I could build up a bowl just like I was doing with my deer. So this year I decided to go with Stacey Nash's Silent Night. I'm just going to do this part down here, the Silent Night. And, oh, this is on a high count. I can already tell. This looks like it's on, 48 count bride's cake. And I did a silk conversion. These are 103s. These are not surfing. And they'll look great on 48 count. It'll be nice and dense. It's ready to go. Because the fabric's lighter, I can probably do that with good lighting without magnification. It could be an on-the-go project if you just need something to stitch at a retreat. It's ready to go. All right, halfway there. Let's see what else we have. I have, they're spring green pears, but I thought they would look great for Christmas. And I know she just came out with some Christmas stitches for the Jingle Ball, but I have them here for Christmas, just as bowl fillers. If I felt like I wanted to make that for spring, I could. I picked up, this is Summer Car Keys by number 12 Stitch Company for my green. And then I did purchase the dinky dies that it's called for, but I also just pulled and put in a Gloriana, but I set them aside. So they're ready to go. That's, 40 count Summer Car Keys. I'm going quickly. I hope I'm not going too quickly. I hope I'm not bored to death. Hang in there. It might get entertaining by the end. We'll see. Another project ready to go. All called for flosses. Not messing around with it. You can't mess around with Plum Street. This is Winter Moon. I absolutely want to get that started this year. So it's in a project bag. It's fully kitted. I pulled here all of the, now that I say this, I think I may have purchased the kit when I was at Country Sampler. I may have purchased the kit, and that's why it's all here. Now, I'm not stitching it on whatever might have been in the kit. I'm stitching it on 46 count Saltbush, Fox and Rabbit. That's where that's headed. And I saw, let me show you if I can get this in the camera. I saw this for Winter Moon. Somebody took out the rabbit and put in this little cardinal. And this is Joyce. Oh, Joyce, I don't want to do you wrong. Hold on. Let's get out the glasses. This is Joyce Oquist. I apologize if I'm saying the name wrong. I either saw it on Instagram or Facebook. I'm not sure which, but I love that she took out the rabbit and put in the cardinal, and I'm absolutely going to do it. This makes me think I picked this up when I was at Country Sampler, because that's the sticker. So it must be the memory for it. Anyway, love, love, love. I'd like to get that started this year. That could be my big stitch to replace Dasher Dancer. I don't like to carry whips. We can talk about that another time. Well, let's address it quickly. In 2025, I decided that was going to be the year of the whip, and I would have whips. 1 out of 10 do not recommend. I don't like whips. It's stressful. The projects are staring at me. They want to know why they were not the chosen one. I'm easily distracted by smalls. So 2026 was supposed to be the year of no smalls. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know I'm a big fat liar. I wanted to just have big projects, stitch them to the end. I didn't follow through on that either. So I don't know what I am. I'm seasonal. who knows what I am. I'm just having fun. Just having fun. It's not a job. It's just for fun. Okay. This next one, again, lyrics, Baby It's Cold Outside, Vintage Needle Arts. And it's going to be on blue. So, that's not the color at all. It is called Sapphire, but that's like, what are we doing? No, it's a little bit more subtle than that. This will go in a winter display. All things blue, snowflakes. I have another blue project over there as well. I thought I was going to be stitching that at a winter retreat last year, and that's why it was cut down and ready to go. And then I took it, but I didn't start it at the retreat. So I don't know why. I don't know what else I was working on. That was a long time ago. 6 months, too far away. I have another memorabilia in a project bag because I bought it as a kit. This is, well, it's a Nora Corbett Christmas Tree 2010. And I bought the kit ready to go. It's got all kinds of silks and beads. It has cry neck. I might stick with it. Or actually, this looks like the Accentuate, the new one that they came out with. It's a thicker braid, like a number 4 braid. It's got little treasures in here. It looks like there's little snowflakes. This one I might keep it on 32 count. Let me show you. Sorry, I just licked my finger. Gross, disgusting. When I kit these up, I'm not sure how I'm going to stitch them. So I map it out for 32 count. Here's 40 count. This one, I charted this out before doing the deer because look, 2-inch margin. That's not going to happen. That's going to get swapped out to a 3-inch margin. I put add floss, beads, Krynic to app. I have an app that I use. We can talk about that later, but I don't know if I'm going to do it on 32 or 40. Depends on the size. 32 count, 6.5 by almost 9. Pretty substantial, but beautiful. I might keep it. There's no fabric in here, just the full kit, so it doesn't get mixed in with general population. Okay. How many people picked this up at the Jingle Ball? You know him, you love him. Sugar. He's so cute. He's so cute. I kitted him up at the Jingle Ball while in a stitch room. I'm like, please hold. I went into my closet, hit the floss wall, had all the colors, kitted him up, cut fabric. As the Jingle Ball was going, I knew I was going to stitch him right away. I had some extra vinyl strips, so I made a little bag to go with my little bag. I have mastered the rectangle, by the way. If you would like to know how to sew rectangles, I'm your girl. Here are the called for flosses. I did see someone, and I don't see it in my notes. So my apologies, and if this is you or if you know who it is, please let me know. The called for floss is Blue Spruce, which is a beautiful shade. It's got a gray content. Sometimes it leans a little blue in there. I mean, it's still green, but I saw somebody stitch his sweater with monkey grass. So I did just recently pull monkey grass in there. I thought it would be great. Here's how he looks. He's super cute. For the longest time, I couldn't figure out, what is this brown situation? It's his arm. Visually, I couldn't wrap my brain around what I was seeing. So, he's going to get stitched up this year. For sure. He's cute. I did chili and some other little animal crackers for winter. So cute. Love. In a project bag. Ready to go. Almost there. We're almost there. Okay. This is Winter Quaker by Primrose Cottage. Why is it in a project bag? Because I bought the called for floss. And I wanted to make sure it didn't go in general population and get used for another project. I really liked how it looked. So I wanted to stitch it as is. I did cut out a different fabric though. I did cut out 40 count Aruba by Color and Cotton. I thought it'd be fun in a blue with the Baby It's Cold Outside. I thought that would be a nice situation instead of just regular old white. I also have a bag of Mill Hill kits ready to go. Super fun. There's a deer in there. What else is in here? I have a chickadee, of course, a nutcracker. What else I got? The otter. Okay, swans are my favorite motif or animal in stitching. I love the swans in stitching. But in real life, I love an otter. Oh, so cute. The clown prince of the ocean or rivers. My husband, this is to terrorize my husband. He had a run-in with a flamingo. I'll bore you with that another time. But his nemesis, my husband's former football player and rugby player. He's huge. Terrified. Hilarious. I'll tell you the story when he's not around. I have a fun dove in here. And then I have this lantern. So super fun. Mill Hill kits. Again, you can grab them, kit them up. They're ready to go. Okay. I have a project that's not kitted up, but needed to be addressed. And it's going to be kitted up. And it is this one. Early Christmas Morning by Blackbird Designs. Not kitted up in here, but I got a finish back yesterday from my finisher of a drum. And I'm like, oh, she's getting another drum. I'm willing to try and learn new things with my machine or stitching techniques, embroidery. I'm willing to try just about anything except learning how to make a drum. I don't want to learn. I don't want to know. I know myself, and I know it will frustrate me. And I'll want it to be the exact correct dimension, the diameter. Know thyself. So I did send this out to a finisher, and this is what came back to me. Stacy Nash's Big Blue House pin keep drum. Right now he's on a cake stand that I have, but I think he should go on a milk glass. I thought I had a milk glass cake stand, but apparently I don't, or it's lurking somewhere in the house. But right now he's here. She did a fantastic job finishing it. Fantastic. Let me take it off the stand. There's a little bit of ruffle at the bottom. She made this her name is Abby. I will put up her Instagram handle so you can go and find her. If you're looking for a finisher, she did a phenomenal job with my little pin keep drum, but it's more like just a delicious cake to look at. She made this pin that can go in and out, put it wherever you want. It's got a little house charm on it. She just did a fantastic job. It's just better than I could have expected, and 20 times better than I could have ever attempted to do. So getting this back and knowing I have a source to finish a drum, this is getting kitted up. And I looked through it. I can't show you the chart, but the band on this one, let's see if you can see it. The band on this one looks reasonable, doable. The band on this one, it's fine, but it's a little bit labor intensive, and it can kind of be a slog fest in there at times. So I think I told you on Instagram on my post, do bits and pieces and then head up here. Bits and pieces, head up here. Otherwise, you could be praying for death. That one's getting kitted up. Okay, those are the projects that are kitted up and why they're kitted up. Maybe they'll be stitched right away. Maybe I'm just holding on to the supplies and still gathering more materials and trying to figure out what I'm doing with them. Where are we? We're at an hour. Okay. Let me talk to you about let me talk to you about the retreat I went to, a little bit of haul. I don't want to share a lot, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And then my plans going forward for August, early September. Okay. I told you that I was going to the Stacy Nash retreat. It was called a summer gathering, and it was a retreat about English paper piecing, which I was curious about, hand stitching, putting things together. This was a combined retreat, Stacy Nash and then Donna Jenkins. And this is what we received, this little honeycomb box. You can already see the theme here. Donna creates characters, and she has books and stories and projects that go with her characters and stories. And this one was the little booklet, that we got on how to put together the paper piecing. It was beautifully curated, you know, from the name tag with the wax seal and our, you know, names and calligraphy. Here's the project. Everything's in here. Scissors, pencil, different kinds of needles to use, all the flosses, extra fabric stuffing, everything was here. And this is what we learned how to do. English paper piecing, putting it together, not using glue, but stitching the whole thing. After we put it together, then we went in and learned some embroidery techniques. There's a feather stitch that goes all the way around. We were working on putting in these teeny tiny bees. I learned so much. And Donna, she was a wonderful teacher. She was so patient. She took time to be with every student. If you had a question, not a problem. She was terrific. She was really terrific. So thank you, Donna, for a wonderful weekend. It was just so well thought out, and I really just appreciate the time and effort that she put into it. A big thank you to Stacy Nash and her family. The retreat was in Arcadia, Indiana, which is their hometown where they live. It's a family affair. Stacy, her son and daughter, her daughter-in-law, everybody participates in some aspect of the family business. And it was just one of the nicest retreats I've been to. There were maybe 25 of us-ish. And it was just calm and soothing and creative and inviting. It was terrific. Stacy put together for us, maybe you saw, another animal cracker. We had a little waxer in there, and we got this animal cracker, Clover. She's so sweet, so cute. She had it already stitched up so we could see how small she was. For all of you who like to do a 46 count 1/1, or, you know, if you want to really shrink them up, she will be tiny if you shrink her up with any kind of a one-on-one situation. So cute. I sat next to Audrey of Stitch Bead. You can find her on Flosstube. You can find her on Instagram. And she did a wonderful post and a wonderful video about the retreat. And talk about organized. She saw the hint ahead of time of what we would be getting, that this bee and its colors. And she likes to stitch with Roxy Floss. So she brought in her own potential conversion in Roxy to what she thought the called for might be. And then she also brought 3 fabrics. We got 36 count in our kit. She knew she wanted to stitch on 40 count. So she brought 2 neutrals and a periwinkle color that turned out to match up a fabric that she had in her stash. Now you might be thinking, Lisa, did you rob her? How is it you have her fabric? I must have let out a big sigh seated next to her and seeing that fabric. I must have been like, oh. Because then she said, would you like a cut of this color? Yes, please. So she took pity on me and she gave me a cut, and I'm very appreciative. I will absolutely stitch Clover on this cut. It's a mystery linen that she picked up when she was in Swindon. So it didn't have a name or anything like that. But if you're looking for a linen, like what Audrey chose, it matches Weeks Dye Works Periwinkle spot on. So that's a good jumping off point if you think you'd like to stitch it up on blue and keep it in the way that Stacy intended. Super cute. As far as plans, I would like to stitch her in August, although I'm chomping at the bit to get to fall and Halloween. It's upon me. There's still a few days left in July. I'm still stitching all things Christmas in July until the bitter end. But then I'm headed right into fall. All right, what else do I have? I have a little bit of haul. Whoopsie. Let's try not to break things as we go. Okay. I have more haul. You know, we accumulate things. We pick something up. We see it. I'm in a Silk of the Month club, a Gloriana Silk of the Month club. But for me, when I'm watching people's hauls in Flosstube, for me, I'm all about one of 2 things. Linen and a descriptor for the linen. We can't own it all and we can't see it all. So for me, when I watch a Flosstube, I like to hear about people's linen choices or purchases and descriptors. So I can decide if that's something that I would like to have. It might work for an upcoming project. So that's what I'm looking for. So I thought in haul, that's what I would show, and not the other things. I did want to show also some charts, and I do appreciate that when people have haul and they show charts. There are things that come on the market, you don't know what's out there, or maybe it's a chart that's been around for a while, and having just coming back in 2023, I didn't know it existed, and so it's nice to see those charts. So those are the two things I thought I would show when and if I do haul at the end. Just fabric, and then some charts that might interest you. Maybe it ties into something that I've shown. I talk about a fabulous, we already know this. We have a fantastic stitching community, just a fantastic stitching community. And in episode 1, I talked all about my gingerbread situation. No other way to word that. And I got a lot of messages on Instagram, maybe even the next day after it was posted, saying, oh my gosh, have you seen? And Desiree was the first one to hit me up. I met Desiree at summer school last year, and she said, have you seen? Country Sampler had put out a newsletter, and in the newsletter was Buttermilk Basin's Village. This is the Confectioner's Gingerbread Village. I'm like, no, I haven't. I'd love to chat with you. I have to go now and go order it. So I called Country Sampler and said, hey, I saw this. I'd love to pick it up from you. And when I was on the phone, Pam of Country Sampler had made this suggestion, and I asked her if I could pass it on, and she said I could. She said, you know, the trees in here, there are 2 trees. Here's one here, and here's one here. You could stitch that on 46 count arboreal from Cedar River Linen, and they would be beautiful green trees. If you wanted them in a display, if you didn't want them just in the gingerbread, they would make really cute forest trees. There's the one at the top, and here's this one at the bottom. But look at all these little gingerbread houses to add to my gingerbread situation. Of course, nothing can travel alone. Charts can't travel alone, neither can fabric. So I asked if Country Sampler had a dark 56 count. I think I told you before, I really didn't have anything dark in my stash for 56 count. So they did. They had 56 count Weeks Mocha, and this is the fabric that I'm using for the quilted gingers for the 40 count. So now I have it in 56. So now I have a darker linen I can reach for. And I've enjoyed stitching on Weeks. I know that there's a thing about the old linen, the new linen, whatever. I stitch in a hoop, so I'm making it drum tight and I'm pulling it taut. So it's not a problem for me, and I'm happy to have that in my stash. I already told you, Big Bad Wolf's House of Stitches. I picked up the 32 count Mocha. There's that. And Amy, thank you for my needle minder. I really appreciate it. There's 32 count Mocha, and then also that 32 count slate that I told you for the other hands-on design. I don't have a lot of 32. I hardly have any 32. So it was nice to have a dark, a really dark, that I could put in rotation if I wanted to build out an ornament. I'm in the Color and Cotton Soft Neutrals Club. It's a year-long fabric club, and I vacillated on whether or not to share since you can't order it now. The reason I am going to share is sometimes they have extra, and they'll post that they have more of that month's color. Not always, but I have seen it in the past. This is the one that just was delivered. This one's called Queen Anne. I do a half a yard of the 40 count. I decided to do a half a yard. I assumed, I think correctly, that really no matter what color they're giving us each month, a half a yard gives me a big swatch to work with for a large sampler. And because it's a soft neutral, almost anything could go on it. Color and Cotton does a really nice job when they're dyeing linen. They have a variety of one color in a variety of ways. So it might say soft, it might say pale, dark. I can't remember what the fourth one is. It might be rich. I'm not sure. This is the Soft Neutrals Club. So I'm familiar with what their soft version looks like and thought, you know what, I could really go for a half a yard. If they do this club again next year, and perhaps they'll do a medium or a dark, I'll absolutely do the exact same thing and do a half a yard of it. So I have a big cut for a large sampler. I love their linen. Can't go wrong. This is Queen Anne. You know, it's just a white with some movement and some interest. One other fabric that I picked up, and if you're looking for fabric to have in your stash, just a good all-around color, it's going to work for just about everything, is Picture This Plus Legacy. It's just really one of those perfect neutrals. There's modeling in it. This, you know, looks super busy. It's busy, but it's not offensive. It's busy. But I just think Legacy is a great one. It works as if you've got a patriotic, antique, if you've got something beachy, it holds white really well. So if you've got a white cotton or a white silk, it will hold white. You can use it for snowballs. It holds up to white. And I think that sometimes that's really what we're looking for in a neutral, because we do have white gloss that might not be surrounded by color. So that's a good one. I picked up, when I went to Arcadia, there was a quilt shop in Noblesville, and I picked up a lot of quilting cotton, and I had picked up a mini charm pack. I was really hoping that I would be able to do the English paper piecing, and I did. So I picked this up ahead of time, a little pack of Christmas. You can cut down your Christmas fabric to 2.5 inches, but I thought head start on that. I picked up, not just from there, but some other shipments came in of Christmas fabrics for project bags, backing fabrics, etc. I did find this one. It's got nutcrackers on it. I thought I'd make another nutcracker bag. And then, of course, I found another gingerbread fabric. This one is J. Wecker Frisch. I don't know if it's Frisk or Frisch. You can let me know. And it's called gingerbread. But I thought that was fun. So there's lots of fabrics in here, quilters cotton and things like that. Like I said, other things that came in the mail, but I'm not going to bore you with it. Plans, fall and Halloween stitching for sure. And I am going to a retreat at Acorns and Threads Labor Day weekend. I've never been to the West Coast. The farthest I've been is Vegas. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Lisa, you look like a showgirl. I bet you were a dancer there. I was not. I'm 5'4". So, no, I wasn't a showgirl. Anyway, I've been to Vegas. That's the farthest west I've been, I think. I'll have to look at a map and see if I've been farther. So I'm excited to go to the West Coast. I'm very excited to go to Acorns and Threads. I've met some of the ladies there. They oftentimes come in and help with the attic retreats, and they are the nicest ladies. They are just wonderful. So I'm very excited to go out to Acorns and Threads. The designers are Paulette, Plum Street Samplers will be there. The Blue Flower will be there. And Stephanie from Lindy Stitches will be there. So I'm excited. I'm going to go a couple of days extra. I'm still trying to rope the husband into staying a little bit longer and coming out with me and exploring a little bit, but getting that man to not work, that's a whole nother story. All right. I think that is, oh no, that's not everything. I did pick up, because you know it's a problem. I did pick up some swan charts, and I wanted to share because I do like swans for Christmas ornaments as well. These were all from Etsy, and they were all PDFs that you could download. I don't know if they came in a hard copy. I didn't look. I just wanted to go with what I could print out. This is called Bella Rose Swan by Jody Osborne Primke. I'm apologizing now for the pronunciation of the name. I thought it was lovely. This one I've seen people stitching it up. It's terrific. Blooming Swan by Pigeon Coop Designs. Very sweet. I'll definitely change the colors. If I'm going to make this into a Christmas ornament, I'm going to change that. That's a lot of peach. I like to lean pink. And that could be like the Brenda Gervais one I stitched on pink fabric. We'll see about that one. This is the one, when I saw it on Instagram, I've been watching it. It was a release as someone's Patreon. This designer's Patreon. Oh, the name. I'm going to butcher it. I'm just going to show you the name. I saw it as a Patreon only chart, and then it was released. Let me show you the name, because I'm going to butcher it, so I'm not even going to attempt it. But this is the chart. It's called The Swan and the Awakening Garden. I think shrinking that down would be a beautiful beautiful Christmas stitch and into an ornament, but it is springy. And I haven't pulled the flosses yet. It's in DMC, but I could spring that up or send it to Christmas either way. Those are two charts that I did pick up along the way. Okay, that is everything. Thank you. Where are we? Almost an hour and a half. Thank you if you stuck in for the horizontal version. I really appreciate it. You can find me on Instagram if you want to see some of my postings there. It's Mrs. Curry's Classroom. I'll put the link up here. It's Mrs.Curry's_classroom. I am pretty active there. And if this turns out okay, I'll try for another Flosstube maybe after the retreat with more things to share. I'm not planning on doing a weekly, 2 times a month. I don't know what I'm doing, but if it works out, I had such a good time with the results of one in the community that I think I would absolutely try this again. So thank you for taking a chance on Flosstube episode 2. I really, really appreciate it. Until I see you again, happy stitching.